the director of Death on the Nile was a remarkable man, really. He was a really sort of a bit of a terrifying man, you know, because he was very short on words. He didn't really like people much. I mean, he liked pretty girls, but he didn't really like anybody except himself and the script and the film. You know, that's what he said. He get terribly irascible and shout rude words at the feluccas, I won't say what. And he used to throw his portable radio, which was very scarce in those days, costing a fortune, into the Nile from time to time, and he got cross and all that kind of thing. But he was I got on well with him because I really admired him as a director, and he did make some very, very good directorial decisions. And so we were all slightly terrified of him, except for one moment when something happened, which I think it's fair to relate. And that is that in Mia Farrow's big scene, where she has to shoot her lover in the leg and all that kind of stuff, and it's all very tense and so on and so forth, Mia asked Olivia Hussey, who's a very nice person, brought up in the Argentine very strictly, to look after Christian, who was Mia's son with Andre Previn. And he was pretty spoiled, this boy. Anyway, Mia went off and he started to misbehave. And Olivia just gave him a good Argentinian slap, whereupon he screamed, and his mother dropped everything in front of the camera and rushed down to the stern of the boat where it was all taking place and said, "What on earth happened?" And Olivia said, and I heard it, "I thought he deserved a slap." And of course then they went at it like hammer and tongs. And the director, John Guillermin, came down and he was completely dumbfounded. He couldn't say anything. He just stood there with his pipe in his mouth, not knowing what to do. And it was the only time I saw him nonplussed. But he was a very good director.
I suppose that uncouth young man will appear now and attempt to seduce you. Well, don't let him succeed without at least the show of a struggle. Remember, the chase is very important.
Oh, Mother.
No, this way is better.
Oh,
Look, there's a beastly step here, which I always trip on. No, that's the river.
Why did we choose Anthony Shaffer to write the script? I think because he'd done Sleuth with Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier and so on, and he was pretty good at mystery plots and things like that, and I think he did a very good job on it. Terribly nice man, and slightly in the shadow of his slightly more famous brother, but he was a very, very nice man and very, very clever, and so it was a pleasure to work with him.
I am Salome Otterborn, and I must have a word.
I thought we were already having words through our lawyers.
It is about that I have come to supplicate.
Supplicate?
I mean to entreat or to appeal, if you like. I'm afraid we authors are a little flowery in our speech.
And defamatory in our writing.
For an orderly progress, you do need the producer to be on the set at all times, actually anywhere, because what happens is, as a general rule, that all the important decisions are made at the end of the day's shooting. People have to decide what they're going to do next. And if somebody suddenly wants to do something that's not on the schedule or outlandish or anything, you have to be there to say no. And you have to be there if there are any instant decisions to be made. We had 20 minutes of telex time between London and Aswan, where we were. 20 minutes a day. Can you imagine? That's the only communication we had of any sort. And it was quite tough to get requests for wardrobe that had been forgotten or things like that passed about. And so you have to have somebody there who can say, but we won't we won't bother about that. We'll find another way around that, or we'll do another shot tomorrow. But if you don't have somebody, everybody walks about like headless chickens, then nothing gets done. It was really a sort of pharaonic adventure. I mean, John Patterson, who was our construction manager and who was a sort of Formula One mechanic, had got a hot chip of engine in his eye and lost an eye, and he was a sort of quite piratical chap, but he was incredibly good at that sort of thing and working out how you could move a heavy camera crew, because they were much heavier than the cameras we have now, on a dolly up the side of the pyramids on a counterbalance system. But it worked absolutely impeccably. In those days, you just did it. Everybody was professional enough to know that everybody was looking the right way and the shots were in the right order and all that kind of thing. And we had Jack Cardiff, so we could be pretty sure that it was going to be okay. There weren't that many sort of paddle wheelers left. There were only a couple. And I don't know if you know anything about the Nile, but there are certain cataracts where it's impossible to sail boats over, and they have to construct them. Well, this particular boat was bought from Southampton, where it was built, in pieces, and then brought to the bottom of the cataract and then carried by hand over the cataract, and then reconstructed above the cataract. And that's where it was and had been. And it was owned by the Club Mediterranee, and I managed to do a deal with them and we finally used it. But the crew were really, really rascally. They were awful people. We had to get rid of the whole lot of them and have our own crew, and then we gave it back to them at the end.
Why the sudden rush?
I tell you, mon vieux, I feel the presence of evil all about me. The sooner we reach Wadi Halfa, the better.
The biggest challenges was really it was a country which hadn't had many films. But I didn't think there had any films made there before. At least not after the war. They were very very good to us. I think health was probably the biggest problem, because there are all sorts of diseases. So we had to take enormous efforts to make sure that the crew never ate any lettuce or salads or anything like that, because in those days it was really much worse than it is now. I mean, it was just appalling. And we had a special doctor from the Hospital of Tropical Diseases in London, a man called Adsel, and he was really, really wonderful. I mean, he really kept everything, because, you know, Bette Davis wasn't any spring chicken in those days. And I remember when she arrived, she asked if I could get her some whiskey, and I said, well, you know, it's a Muslim country, you can't, but I'll give you the bottle I bought out on the plane. And we became great friends after that. She said, you know, at my age, you have to have something to disinfect your insides.
You are Mrs. and Miss Otterburn, righty?
Wrongy. I am Mrs. Van Skyler, and I wish to be taken to my cabin immediately. Bowers will have the cabin opposite on the starboard side. The roasting afternoon sun may do wonders for those jaundiced jowls of hers.
Right away, madam, right away.
Albert, I don't think, was available to play Hercule Poirot again. He was doing other things. I don't think he liked a new challenge every time he had a new film or whatever to do, because his real love was horses, and what he really wanted to do was to breed horses. His father was a bookie and he loved horses. So that was that.
Goodbye, Monsieur Poirot. I'm afraid the description of your cases will have to wait until another time.
Oh, quel dommage, madame. I was hoping to recount to you my recent extraordinary experience on the Orient Express.
Come on, Bowers, time to go.
Peter Ustinov was the obvious choice to play Poirot, because he was so wonderfully avuncular and satisfactory in every way.
Colonel Reese! Oh, I'm enchanted to see you.
Oh, my old friend, how capital, how capital.
Yes.
Oh, I haven't clapped eyes on you since, that strange affair of the decapitated clergyman.
Yes, yes.
I still think you were a trifle lucky to find that cake knife up the chimney like that.
Lucky? With me, it's the exercise of the little grey cells. Luck, I leave to the others.
Yes, I'd forgotten your opinions about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Anthony Powell is and was an extremely, I mean, he's just, you can't think of a better person to design costumes of that sort. He was absolutely wonderful. He did immense amount of research, and he really got it all together, and everybody adored him because he was so talented, and he did make everybody look absolutely splendid. It didn't do terribly well in the States, unfortunately, because it opened on the weekend of one of those big Super Bowl jobs. I don't know whether it was football or whether it was baseball, but whatever it was, everybody was watching that, and they didn't want to go to the cinema. But it did all right, and it did much better overseas as well than it did very well in Japan and those places.